True confidence does not dress itself in noise. It is not the hand that squeezes too hard, nor the rehearsed smile that hides nervousness. It is not to be confused with the avalanche of words that fill the void just to ward off the fear of silence. The confident man does not need an audience to exist. His presence is enough. He enters a space and does not rush to be noticed. And that is precisely why everyone notices him. This confidence manifests itself in stillness. Being in a room without needing to prove anything. Remaining silent when the world demands a reaction. Deliberate serenity, far from apathy, is discipline. It is the refusal to waste energy on what adds nothing. It is self-control when others are lost in urgency, insecurity, and noise. The nonchalant person understands that every reaction is currency. Every justification, every defense, every emotional outburst is a surrender of value. He does not pay that price. He observes. He waits. His calm is not laziness but strategy. A rare gesture is worth more than 100 frantic movements. A brief word can weigh more than an entire speech. This is what baffles rivals and attracts allies. The provocateur becomes frustrated when he fails to elicit a response. The manipulator is lost when his pressure has no effect. Silence becomes a mirror in which each person projects their own fears. And in that reflection, power is born. But nonchalance is not just defense. It is an invisible attack. While everyone else expends energy trying to decipher him, the serene man preserves his. He lets others expose themselves, show their weaknesses. And when he decides to act, he does so with surgical precision. The impact is amplified because no one expected it. This calm, however, is not an eternal mask. It should be used as a tool. The risk of believing that never showing emotion is a sign of strength leads to imprisonment in one's own armor. True power is adaptation. Be ice when the world demands coldness, but also fire when it's time to connect. Full confidence does not reject emotion. It chooses when to reveal it. In the end, confidence is not about controlling others, but about not being controlled by them. It is the steadfastness that transforms silence into presence, pause into mastery, discipline into magnetism. This is the only characteristic that separates the confident man from the fragile man, the ability to remain still when everything around him tries to drag him down. The man who masters non-reaction understands something that most ignore. Every immediate response is a piece of power given away for free. When you rush to defend yourself, you show that you have been hit. When you talk too much, you confess insecurity. Machiavelli already warned that perception shapes reality. It doesn't matter if the ruler trembles inside as long as he maintains an image of firmness. The same goes for any individual. In negotiations, this discipline proves fatal. Those who wait in silence, who endure discomfort without giving in, usually get the best terms. The other side, insecure, ends up giving in more than they would like. In personal relationships, those who can walk away without hesitation are seen as stronger. They don't chase, beg, or depend on others. Their posture communicates that dignity is not a bargaining chip. In chaos, this calm becomes magnetic. Psychology shows that in crises, people seek a point of reference. If you don't panic, you become an anchor for others. Leaders who convey calmness are perceived as competent, even without immediate solutions. The human brain associates calm with control, and this perception can be more valuable than the truth. But this mastery does not come naturally. We live conditioned to rush, to constant notifications, to the demand for quick answers. The world trains us to react without thinking. The nonchalant man breaks this cycle. He creates his own rhythm. He pauses, breathes, observes. Time does not control him, he commands time. This control changes the way the world sees him, and above all, how he sees himself. He ceases to be a slave to the urgency of others. He learns to endure emptiness, not to seek immediate closure. And in this space, he discovers freedom. When he speaks, his words carry weight because they are rare. When he acts, his gestures resonate because they are unexpected. His presence is felt not by excess, but by measure. Gradually, this discipline transforms his identity. He does not need to prove anything. He does not seek approval. His calmness is his strength. Others feel it and adjust to his pace. This is what differentiates the fragile man from the confident man. The former reacts to be accepted, the latter chooses when to act. True confidence is not shouted, it is demonstrated in silence. The nonchalant man turns silence into his most lethal weapon. While most rush to justify themselves or fill the void, he observes. And in that observation, the difference between strength and fragility is revealed. The world is accustomed to immediate reactions, emotional outbursts, people who reveal themselves without realizing it. Those who remain quiet, by choice, turn their own calm into a trap. This calculated silence disarms. The provocateur who insults without response begins to doubt himself. The manipulator who pressures without return gets lost in assumptions. The absence of reaction creates a shadow in the other's mind. The void is filled with fears, fantasies, insecurities. And suddenly, you are seen as stronger, more strategic, more dangerous than you really are. Psychology explains this dynamic. Human beings have an aversion to the unknown. When they cannot decipher someone, they project. And this projection usually increases the power of the enigmatic. Leaders and generals knew how to exploit this. Napoleon, for example, used calmness in the face of battle as a weapon. His soldiers believed that their commander's serenity was proof of certain victory. Perception became real strength. This effect creates an aura of mystery. In a world where everyone talks too much, those who remain silent become the object of attention. Silence becomes presence. And when action finally arrives, it is felt like an earthquake. Not because it is grandiose, but because it breaks a tense weight. But silence is only powerful if it is intentional. It cannot be empty. Every pause must have weight, every word a purpose. The nonchalant man does not abstain out of apathy, but out of calculation. He does not ignore life. He reads it deeply and reacts only when a reaction is necessary. This selective focus shapes his reputation. He is not seen as cold, but as impenetrable. Others begin to measure their words in front of him, to observe themselves more, to hesitate before acting. His presence creates self-control in those around him. The rhythm of the room changes. The beat is no longer collective, but his. Thus true dominance is born. Not through force, not through imposition, but through the invisible control of time and attention. Silence, when charged with intention, is not absence. It is command. It is the thread that pulls everyone to the same beat. Those who do not react dominate because they force others to play on the field of doubt. And doubt is always more powerful than certainty. The nonchalant man does not need to raise his voice to impose authority. His strength lies in something rarer, the constancy of calm. While others rush to show dominance, he does not need to demonstrate anything. His silent energy creates invisible rules. People around him adjust their tone, measure their words, regulate their attitudes, not because he demands it, but because his presence forces this adaptation. Psychology proves that what is rare is always more valuable. The more someone exposes themselves, the more they lose their mystery. That is why the nonchalant man is not always available. He does not answer every call. He does not fill every space. His distance is not weakness, it is preservation of value. He makes solitude magnetic, not lonely. His absence commands respect because his presence already carries meaning. And this attitude remains even in defeat. When something does not go as expected, he does not fall apart. He absorbs the loss like a rock receiving the tide. No explosions, no screams, no visible fall. This composure teaches more than any victory. It shows that his stability does not depend on circumstances but on internal conviction. It is this steadfastness that inspires true confidence. His speech follows the same principle. He does not waste words. He does not fill silences with noise. He says little, but every syllable remains. This mastery of brevity transforms every conversation into a field of tension. People do not just listen, they interpret, analyze, project. What he does not say weighs as much as what he expresses. This conscious use of attention creates magnetism. In a world where everyone fights for space, what is selective is what attracts the most. His calmness becomes mastery. His economy of energy becomes invisible power. People realize that they are not dealing with someone ordinary. They feel they need to lower their tone, slow down, and get into his rhythm. This silent magnetism is not passive. It is strategic. It does not mean apathy, but priority. The nonchalant person cares but chooses carefully where to invest their energy. They do not waste energy on futile dramas or petty disputes. Their attention is gold, distributed only where it generates growth, clarity, or power. And because their energy is rare, it becomes irresistible. This discipline not only changes how others treat him, but redefines how he himself views the world. He stops living in reaction, stops being dragged along by the urgencies of others. Instead, he creates a gravitational field where everyone else revolves around his calm. This is the invisible victory, achieved not by brute force, but by the mastery of silence and restraint. The power of nonchalance lies not only in resisting, but in turning pressure into an advantage. While most people wear themselves out trying to prove their worth, the serene man observes. He knows that the more others try to elicit a reaction, the more they reveal their intentions. An ignored insult creates doubt in the offender. Pressure met with calm generates fear in the one applying it. The absence of a response becomes a form of dominance because the human mind cannot bear emptiness and fills the silence with its own insecurities. This phenomenon is explained by the psychology of perception. In a noisy world, calmness is interpreted as strength. Those who do not rush seem more prepared. Those who do not defend themselves seem more confident. That is why leaders and negotiators who master silence usually win. They do not give ground. They let their opponents waste energy until they lose. But this is not apathy. Nonchalance is highly active. It requires accurate reading of the emotions around you. It is feeling every movement without responding to all of them. It is coldly choosing the moment to act. This balance is delicate. Those who confuse serenity with laziness become irrelevant. Those who exaggerate their coolness become too distant. The mastery lies in using calmness as a shield and a weapon. In the field of relationships, this game is clearly revealed. Those who show haste in obtaining affection or approval become predictable and easy to manipulate. Those who are selective, on the other hand, become enigmatic. Mystery attracts because it challenges. People find themselves caught up in the need to decipher those who do not give themselves away easily. In this process, they end up orbiting around the nonchalant, adjusting their behavior, seeking attention. This posture, however, is not just defensive. It sets the stage for a precise attack. By appearing indifferent, you induce the other person to expose themselves. They believe that you don't notice, that you don't care, and they let their guard down. At that moment, a single gesture can redefine the entire game. The strength lies precisely in the contrast. Long periods of stillness broken by quick and accurate action. The secret is authenticity. Pretending to be calm while in despair ends up being revealed. The true nonchalant person is not dependent on the outcome. They act with direction, but not with desperation. It is this detachment from the immediate outcome that makes them impenetrable. They know they can lose without breaking, and this certainty puts them above the anxiety that dominates others. Calmness then becomes not just a strategy, but an identity. Not because he ignores the world, but because he has learned not to be ruled by it. And when someone masters this state, the balance of power naturally begins to tilt in their favor. The serenity of the nonchalant man is so powerful that it creates dissonance in the minds of others. They ask themselves, why does he show no fear? What does he know? What is he hiding behind this calm? This silent questioning undermines the confidence of opponents and causes control to change hands without a word being spoken. This is the unwritten law of perception. How you present yourself defines how others interpret your strength. Those who rush to negotiate lose terms. Those who show desperation for loyalty receive betrayal. Those who tremble under pressure invite attack. Those who remain immobile in the midst of the storm convey something much stronger than speech. They convey a sense of control. And the sense of control, even if only in appearance, is enough to unbalance any rival. The great strategists of history won not only by the sword or the word, but by their presence. They entered a room and changed the energy simply by being there. While others were agitated, they remained impassive. This silence was not empty. It was a rope slowly tightening around the enemy until there was no more room to breathe. But like all power, this weapon can also turn against its bearer. Excessive calm can turn into paralysis. A commander who hesitates in battle loses his army. A person who confuses serenity with indifference loses bonds. The secret lies in flexibility. Machiavelli would remind us that true power is adaptation. Ice in winter, fire in summer, firmness in public, warmth in private. It is not about never showing emotion, but about choosing the right moment to reveal vulnerability. Another risk is believing too much in one's own mask. The man who convinces himself that constant calm makes him invincible runs the danger of becoming a prisoner of it. He forgets that nonchalance is a tool, not an identity. Ice that never melts becomes just a cold stone. Power is not in never feeling, but in deciding when to show that you feel. Nonchalance is, at its core, the invisible blade. It doesn't scream, it doesn't show off, it doesn't need brute force. It cuts because it is unexpected. Silence is its sheath, discipline is its blade, and presence is the thread that cuts through the other effortlessly. Those who master this state don't need to prove anything. They have already achieved what matters: the ability to remain unshaken when everyone around them collapses. If this text resonated with you, leave your support with any amount to strengthen this space. Write in the comments a word that represents your commitment to evolve. It can be discipline, strength, or silence. Like the video, subscribe to the channel and show, with a simple gesture, that you have already begun to walk in the rhythm of nonchalance.